And it has been a great challenge in recent times, particularly last couple of years. The cost of the principal sources of protein and energy like maize and soybean, we all know like how they have skyrocketed. The soybean meal just in 2000, end of 2020, it was 3,500 around. And now it is always above 5,000.
Namaste. Bhosale ji.
And similarly, maize also has gone up, is almost like hovering around 2,500 for most of the time in the year. So it has become more important nowadays to consider even the minute points related to feeding of poultry. Then only we can sustain the economic benefit, or we can make it economically viable. So in this constant, we thought like under this Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav celebrations, in this webinar, ICAR-DPR, we requested Dr. Dinesh T to address this issue of poultry feed industry, current scenario, how it is, what are the challenges that are being faced by the industry right now, and then what will be the way forward, how we can sustain the poultry production in the country by keeping the cost of feed under control with whatever the means that are available right now in our hand, and also the future strategies that are going to come up. And I am very, very thankful to him. He readily agreed to our request. And he is here today with us to talk and share his vast experiences with regard to this poultry industry, feed, particularly the feed industry, and the future of this. And before I request Dr. Bhosale ji to go for his presentation, of course, many of the attendees we know, like they are so familiar with Dr. Bhosale. He's not a new figure. Everyone connected with livestock and poultry in the country are familiar with him. And he's so dynamic, so active, and always smiling. And at many fora, we listen to him. But still, I give a brief profile of Dr. Bhosale ji for the sake of like the students who might not be aware of Dr. Bhosale ji. So Dr. Dinesh T. Bhosale, he graduated from Mumbai Veterinary College. He did his BVSc and AH there, and then did his MVSc and PhD from IVRI in animal nutrition. And then later he did his diploma in business management also. And he's there on the member of the extension council boards of many universities, to cite a few: Rajasthan University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, and also the member of Extension Council and Research Council of Mahotsav, that is Maharashtra Animal Fisheries Sciences University. And also he was a member of Management Committee of ICAR-NIANP, that is National Institute of Animal Nutrition and Physiology, Bangalore. And the notable achievement in him, or to suit his caliber, he was the chairman of CLAFMA of India. I think to my knowledge, he was the youngest chairman leading such a big organization, the conglomeration of all the companies associated with the livestock feed in the country. And then he was there for from 2012 to 2014. And prior to that, he was the honorary secretary also of CLAFMA from 2008 to 2012. And he also organized this second national conference of AAHP at Pune, that is Association of Avian Health Professionals in Pune in 2014. And then he was also vice president of West Zone and secretary and treasurer of Poultry Federation of India. And currently he is also president of Vets in Private Welfare Association, Pune. And coming to his career, initially he worked with Venkateshwara Hatcheries Limited. So poultry industry is not new to him. In fact, he began his career with poultry. And then later he worked as a technical director, poultry, aquaculture and livestock for Asia subcontinent of American Soybean Association, New Delhi, for 8 long years. So we still remember that was the best part of best period of American Soybean Association in the country. He used to conduct series of scientific seminars and conferences, and I personally attended many of them. So they were so lively. We used to have the lectures from experts from country as well as from outside, and he used to make all those events so live with his witty nature, and then his jovial attitude, and also the ability to take everybody along with him. Still, I remember those good days. Then later he moved to Altech Biotechnology Private Limited as regional technical manager, ruminants for South Asia and Southeast Asia for 2 years. And then currently now he is working as regional sales director, South Asia for AB Vista, a British company since 2007. And not only this technical contributions, but also he is helping many NGOs in the country which are connected to livestock, like Indian Dairy Farmers Association, Pani Foundation, Swadesh Foundation, People Empowering Movement, Bhagirath Gram Vikas Pratisthan, and various companies to promote animal husbandry as source of livelihood and as entrepreneurial activity for rural youth and women self-help groups. He is member of advisory board of Agro1 Agrotech Mars. He is mentoring many startups also in livestock sector in the country. That's a great thing, because we all experts, like, you know, if we pass on our expertise and then help somebody to come up, particularly when during the phase of like a startup, that will be a great contribution to the sector. So he is doing that, and he delivered more than 1,300 lectures to farmers and entrepreneurs all over India. And also he conducted Fodder Yatra to promote awareness in 5 states in 2015. So it is a versatile personality. We are so fortunate to have Dr. Bhosale here. From this brief profile, everyone can understand how versatile he is and how dynamic he is. He is not wasting a single day of his career. And not only he's helping the livestock and poultry sector, but also mentoring many startups and also helping many NGOs. That's a great thing. And with this few little brief introduction about Dr. Bhosale, I now invite him to deliver his formal lecture. Bhosale, it is over to you.
So
Thank you, Raju sir. I can see that Banerjee sir has joined. Sir, namaskar.
नमस्कार
Thank you very
नमस्कार
much.
हाउ आर यू हाउ आर यू
मैं अच्छा हूँ सर, आप कैसे हैं?
मैं ठीक हूँ
हाँ हाँ.
Thank
Thank you
you so
sir.
much thank you so much for delivering a lecture in our Amrut Mahotsav lecture series, and you are having very well experience and exposure in different aspects of livestock and poultry sector, as has been mentioned by Dr. Raju Garu. So not taking much time, I welcome you and thank you so much for joining with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you sir. Dear friends, seniors and juniors, let me thank team of Directorate of Poultry Research, Hyderabad, for inviting me in this seminar. I can see that many industry colleagues have also joined today's seminar. There are many students also who have joined today's seminar, and this lecture will be on YouTube also. So many of the people sent me message saying that they will be looking at this lecture afterwards on the YouTube channel. And I had got request from other countries also about the YouTube channel link. Therefore, I troubled yesterday Raju sir to send me the new poster which mentions the YouTube link. Banerjee sir, I don't like to prepare PowerPoint presentation. I like to give powerful presentation. So please excuse me. I don't have PowerPoint presentation. I'll just speak for 40-45 minutes, and then we can have question answer. You can I request all participants to type questions whenever they come to your mind in chat box, and after my 40 minutes presentation we can take and answer all those questions. Um, I will share one interesting presentation about the history of Indian animal feed industry by email. I will try to copy paste that presentation in the chat box if it is possible, because when we are talking about the present and future of poultry feed industry, we should also know about history of Indian poultry feed industry. Uh, it all started just before my birth. I was born in 1970, and then the first poultry feed mill was started around 1965 by Hindustan Unilever, and then many other regional players also came into this business, and then Tata Group also came into this business, and during 1972, Godrej Agrovet also started their animal feed business. So Tata, Hindustan Lever, and Godrej, all three big groups were into this business. During 1970 till 2000, many feed companies vanished from the business. Example, Tata Group was purchased by Hindustan Unilever, and then in 2000, Godrej purchased the animal feed business of Hindustan Unilever, and then many good things happened after 1972 in poultry sector. Poultry sector started becoming organized. Most of the um, uh, breeder companies were started in North India initially, and then Venkateshwara hatcheries started their office in Pune, and that's how all international breed were available in India after 1970. And this was a game changer. Breed was a game changer for the Indian poultry sector. And then during 96 97, Saguna Group from Coimbatore, they started poultry integration. So that was another game changer for the growth of Indian poultry sector. So dear friends, as we know that future of the poultry feed sector depends on future of the poultry sector. How poultry farming will go ahead in coming years, that will decide the future of our poultry feed sector. Uh, what I did means when Raju sir asked me to give this presentation, I sent messages to few eminent people in the poultry feed sector, and 11 some experts from the feed sector, they provided me their inputs about what is the current challenges, what are the future challenges for the poultry feed sector. So I'm thankful to all of them. I will not take time to mention their names, and basically because what happens when 11 plus my brain works together, then we can come out with more information rather than one person working on the presentation. And I always believed that whenever you are giving any presentation, you should spend at least 10 to 12 hours to prepare 1 hour presentation. What happens that all of you are in this business for long time, means, so but I can understand that there are people who are listening to my presentation who are below 40 years of age and who are in this industry for less than 20 years. And then there is another section of people who are above 40 years of age and who have more than 20 years of experience in either as a scientist or as a industry or as a farmer. So dear friends, if you look at the poultry sector, it is the most organized sector in India. The turnover of broiler sector is around 90,000 crores, and turnover of layer sector is around 50,000 crores. And if you see the figures, around 25 million metric ton of poultry feed was made during last financial year. Half of it was for broiler and half of it was for layer sector. And also, as all of us know, that poultry feed is at international standard. Whatever poultry feed we are feeding to our organized poultry farms, it is of international standards. Means we have around 30% backyard poultry production, where farmers in villages, they have either desi poultry or they have improved birds, and they are using grains directly, or they are using feed also sometime. But if you look at the organized poultry sector, most of the broilers and most of the layers, unless and until they will get good quality feed, they will not perform as per the breed standards. So this is very important. And I started working with this sector in 1994. And what I observed, that till 2005, the feed mill equipments in our poultry feed sector were not of international standards. We were using grinders, mixers, and pellet mills, but most of it were manufactured locally, and we have very self-sufficient feed mill equipment manufacturing industry in India. I should acknowledge that. And there are many multinational players who are selling feed mill equipment in India now. So after 2005, uh, all companies started investing in putting bigger plants, 1,000 tons per day or more than that. And basically this changed the dynamics of the industry, because previously many companies, they were having third party processing facilities. So they used to own few feed mills, and they used to take other feed mill on hire. And so basically, as percentage of the pelleted feed went up, every feed manufacturer realized the importance of having good quality feed mill equipment. So therefore, after 2005, you can see that all national players and all regional players in India, they spent a lot of funds on establishing feed mills all over India. Feed is a local business, means you cannot transport feed beyond 100-kilometer radius, because transportation price increase will make it unviable. So therefore, this phase was very important, because when I was working with American Soybean Association, I used to go to Pakistan, I used to go to Bangladesh, and I had visited feed mills in developed countries also. So I always used to wonder during 97 to 2005, why Indian feed manufacturers are not paying attention towards having good quality feed mill equipments. And I was very happy that during American Soybean Association days, I took many feed manufacturers to Kansas State University to attend the feed manufacturing courses. And this course was eye opener for all of us. Means, if you remember, during yeah, around 99 2000, the multinational companies set up their feed mill in India, and they brought the concept of feed conversion ratio, because till 2000, uh, we were not paying attention towards the feed conversion ratio. So on one side poultry integration came, and on other side the concept of feed conversion ratio came into India, and that helped our poultry feed manufacturers, and that also helped our feed millers. Basically, when everybody started paying attention toward the feed conversion ratio, they started paying attention towards quality control of the raw material as well as the finished feed. Dear friends, the most important part in poultry feed mill is how to reduce the process loss. Because as you can see today, out of the broiler feed production, almost 80% of the feed is produced by poultry integration companies. And most of these poultry integration companies, they have their own plants, or they have taken third party plants on the lease. So everybody is focusing on how to reduce the process loss. And as I mentioned before, that there is a proverb in English: garbage in, garbage out. So therefore, all companies, especially broiler feed companies and commercial layer feed manufacturers, they are paying lot of attention towards how they purchase raw material, how they store raw material, and on the quality control also. Revolution happened during last 10 years in quality control. Previously, we were using wet chemistry laboratory. I should thank Dr. Chandrasekharan here. Uh, in before 2000, he established very good feed analysis laboratory at Namakkal Veterinary College, and that gave opportunity to poultry farmers and poultry feed manufacturers to check the quality of raw materials and to check the quality of the finished feed. Nowadays, most of the poultry feed manufacturers, they are using NIR machine, near infrared machine, for the quick quality control of raw material and also finished feed. The, as all of you know, that the good thing about NIR machine is that it can check parameters which cannot be done in wet chemistry lab. Example, metabolizable energy is a very important parameter in case of maize and in case of finished feed. So you can get AME values for all the raw materials by using NIR machine. Nowadays, penetration of enzymes like phytase is almost 100% in both broiler feed and layer feed. So therefore, while using the higher dose of phytase enzyme, you need to know what is the phytate phosphorus content. So NIR machine plays very important role in analyzing the phytate content in your raw materials. Third thing is reactive lysine. Example, if there is a over processed soybean meal, then the Maillard reaction happens and the lysine gets damaged. So by using NIR machine, you can analyze reactive lysine also. So except mineral content, NIR machine can help you to analyze different parameters about the raw materials, what we are using in our poultry feed. Dear friends, I will encourage all veterinary colleges and ICR institutes to buy softwares, and all BVSC students and master degree students, they should get exposure how to use software. There are many multinational companies, and then there are Indian companies also which are selling softwares for making feed formulation. So feed formulation can be done very quickly if you are using software. Again, I will like to mention Dr. Chandrasekharan sir's name here. He made Excel based software very popular. He gave it free of cost to industry and farmers, and that was very useful 20 years back. And as the complexity of feed production increased, as the volumes of poultry feed production increased, all the nutritionist owners of the feed manufacturer, they started relying on the commercial softwares for making their feed formulation. But what I observe, that all the freshers who come out of the colleges, they still don't have exposure to softwares. So I will highly recommend this. And Indian softwares are very cheap. Even students can pay 20,000 rupees to buy this software. So so quality control of finished feed is also very important. And as I mentioned, that 80% of broiler feed is used for poultry integration. It is not sold in the market. So therefore, every poultry integration companies, they have decided performance parameters, and accordingly they will decide the quality of the feed they produce. Example, it depends on many parameters. Like example, it depends on breed, it depends on what is the marketing weight of the birds, it depends on raw material available, it depends on alternative raw materials, because whenever the maize and soybean meal prices goes up, we have to use other alternate raw materials to replace at least 5 to 10% of maize and soybean meal in broiler feed. In case of layer feed, we have more flexibility. As all of you know, we can use alternative feed resources to replace maize and soybean meal. Good thing is that what I observed during last 10 to 15 years, that more and more layer farmers are now buying commercial layer feed, whether it's a chick feed, whether it's a grower feed, or whether it's a layer feed. And it's always beneficial to buy commercial layer feed instead of making your own feed, because although you have 5 lakh birds or 10 lakh birds, getting good quality raw material is a big challenge. All these layer farms who are making their own feed, they don't have their internal laboratory, they don't have a full-time nutritionist, so they rely on the outside laboratory, they rely on the part-time nutritionist. So they don't make changes in the formulation as per the availability of raw material, as per the price points of raw material. Many times now, previously what used to happen when the layer farms were smaller, the owner used to go to farm every day and he used to sit there for whole day. But as the farms became bigger, and especially I can see in many places in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, that the land prices went up. So many farmers sold their original land and they went into deeper rural areas and they started their layer farms there. So monitoring of feed manufacturing at the farm level has become very difficult. They are dependent on their farm supervisors. So it depends on how trained their team is, how committed their team is, that will decide the quality of the layer feed produce. So I will recommend all the layer farmers that they should go for commercial layer feed, at least for chick feed and grower feed. And if they can afford to make their own feed, they can make a layer feed on their own. So, and other thing, I will like to suggest to all poultry integrators that although you are making good quality feed, but you should monitor this feed at how it is used, how it is stored at farm level. You should give your training to your supervisors, because I was discussing with someone yesterday, one of my friend yesterday regarding this presentation, and he was telling me that nowadays there is a lot of unrest among the contract farmers, because we poultry integrators are paying around 8 to 12 rupees to contract farmers for growing broilers, and labor charges, electricity charges, water charges, everything has increased. So therefore, it is not very profitable business for contract farmer if the bird is not performing. If the bird is performing well, if the FCR is below 1.7, then the contract farmer gets bonus. So he gets better amount per bird. But if the FCR is not 1.7 or as agreed in the contract, then they will get less money due to penalty by the poultry integrators. And then there are some wrong practices also followed by contract farmers. Sometimes they will steal the feed, sometimes they will keep more birds. So I think it's very important. That means contract farmers should be very honest with poultry integrators, and vice versa. Poultry feed integrators should be also very honest with contract farmers. I have observed that whenever the poultry prices goes down, then the feed quality also goes down. So I think it's a wrong practice. Means I will encourage all poultry integrators, especially small and medium integrators, that they should not dilute the quality of the feed, and one should give attention towards the weight of the bird also. If we are producing broiler more than 2.5 kg, then the quality of the broiler meat goes down. So because we are selling 95% of the broiler in the live market, so this is very important. And only 5% of broiler is processed and sold as frozen or chilled. And processing plant needs uniform quality of broilers. And in years to come, poultry processing will increase. So, so we'll have to produce birds of similar weight, similar quality, so that it can be processed well in the farm. What I observed that government interference, government regulation is also increasing in poultry farming. Before first outbreak of avian influenza in 2006, poultry industry developed on its own. Means the role of the government was very minimal, and government interference in regular operations of poultry was very minimal. But when the bird flu came, government came into picture, animal husbandry department came into picture, and nowadays, during last 2 3 years, FSSI also came into picture. During last 5 years, animal welfare organizations also came into picture. So they are creating obstacles, they are creating challenges for the poultry farmers. And I request all poultry farmers and industry to take this challenge in a right way, because all these challenges will help us to improve the efficiency of poultry farming. All these challenges will help us to improve the poultry feed cost and poultry feed price. Example, now state like Andhra Pradesh, they have made mandatory for animal feed manufacturers to follow BI standards, and FSSI has also requested all cattle feed manufacturers to follow the BI standards. And when I was working with American Soybean Association, the interaction between the industry, scientists, farmers, and government started. But what I have observed in last 5 years, that although the relation between the government, policymakers, and industry has improved, the interaction between the industry and scientists have is gone on backbench. I think both industry associations and the scientific associations like IPSA, ICR institutes like DPR, Central Avian Research Institutes, they should take lead to organize regular interaction. Example, antibiotic residues is a big challenge in front of poultry farmer, and so therefore poultry feed manufacturers have stopped using antibiotic as a growth promoter, which is a very welcome step. And there is a discussion about few coccidiostats also, what we can use in poultry feed and what we cannot use in poultry feed. So I think it's very important. And when I discuss with industry leaders during last 2 years, that what are the challenges for the poultry feed sector, as all of you know that last 2 years were very bad for poultry industry. In 2019, we were producing around 35 crore broilers every month. Now it has came down to around 32 crore broilers every month. And there is a price volatility between broilers and eggs also. And from last year, there is a big price volatility of between maize and soybean meal. As all of you know that last year soybean meal prices touched 100 rupees, and it was very challenging because we cannot replace soybean meal fully in broiler feed, so we had to use it. And at that time international prices were low. So from May 2021, all associations went to government and we explained government about challenges, and we requested government to allow import of soybean meal. And finally government agreed in August 2021, and they allowed import of 12 lakh tons of soybean meal only for the period of 2 months. And during that brief period, around 6 to 7 lakh tons of soybean meal came, and that gave brief relief. Actually, what happens that as all of you know that nowadays there is a hedging and online commodity trading is done on NCDX, whether it's a maize, whether it's a soybean, whether it's a soybean meal, and players who are members of Soybean Processor Association of India, and players who are member of Solvent Extractor Association of India, they are very active on this NCDX commodity market. Unfortunately, the end user, our poultry feed miller, they are not active. I think I will encourage all players to um, become active and at least do hedging of maize and soybean meal. That will help them to get raw material at right price. That will help them to reduce the pressure of price volatility. I remember when I was chairman of CLEFMA, at that time we had organized training programs with the help of NCDX. Last year also CLEFMA organized training program with NCDX, and I remember the interview of the great magician uh, PC Sarkar. The the interviewer asked magician, what is the secret of your success? So magician said that I have three secrets. The first is practice, the second is practice, and third is practice. So I will request all poultry feed manufacturers that they should take help of companies who are experts in how to handle commodities in NCDX online market, or they can do if they have enough big team in their purchase. If they have qualified people, they can also do hedging and online trading of the raw materials. What happens that although many alternative raw materials are available, but as all of us know that we cannot replace more than 5% of maize with alternative sources. We cannot replace more than 5% of soybean meal with alternative sources. Due to ban of slaughter of cattle origin animals, the availability of meat and bone meal has gone down because only the spent buffaloes are slaughtered. So therefore, the good quality availability and the price of the meat and bone meal is always higher than good quality soybean meal. The good thing is that now there are many soybean processing plants who are selling Hypro soybean meal, which is a dehulled soybean meal. I know many poultry feed manufacturers who own soybean processing plant. There are many integrators who have taken soybean processing plant on rent. So that's a backward integration. And the most important thing is lack of credible crop information. Means I remember means example, now all of us are getting reports from various private companies and government agencies about the kharif sowing. So what happens when the sowing starts, the figures are very high, and when the crop is harvested, we don't get the real figure of the what is the real available crop, whether it's a maize or whether it's a soybean. And we get real data only after 6 months of the harvest. So it's very critical. Means I have seen in USA and in other countries like Brazil, Argentina, the crop information availability is very good. So I will encourage all private companies. I will encourage startup companies. I'm mentoring many startup companies. So I will encourage startup companies that there is a great scope to start giving this information to poultry feed manufacturers, that what is the crop. Example, if we'll see during month of April and May, the soybean meal prices started going up again. So when we did a deep dive, we came to know that soybean crop is again low during this year. Means it is not more than 10 million metric ton. So what happens if the soybean crop is not more than 10 million metric ton? Then it will put pressure on the availability of the soybean meal. And if we'll see during last 6 months, during October to June, if you look at the soybean meal exports from India, it is almost down by 70%. What it says? It says that the prices of soybean meal in India is higher than the international prices, and therefore it is not viable to export soybean meal from India. And right from 1997, as an American Soybean Association, as a US Grain Council, we are trying to convince industry and scientists and government policymakers to allow import of genetically modified crops. Look at cotton seed. Almost 97% of the cotton produced in India is genetically modified, and it has helped farmers, it has helped our animals, and there is no untoward effect on the consumption of these products. And look at the maize and soybean crop produced by different countries. Almost 80%, 90% of the crop is genetically modified. So I think it's a high time that I know that all ICR scientists, they are pro towards GM. IRI has conducted many trials about the GM crop, and our government is putting a lot of pressure on the how to improve the productivity of major crops. And example, there is a special drive on how to increase the palm production, because it will reduce the pressure on the edible oil imports. So, and as you can see, that farming economics is also changing. Means now there is a big barrier if you want to start the commercial broiler feed manufacturing, because the market is only in North India, East India, and Northeast India. If you look at the West India and South India, most of the broiler production is in the hands of the integrators. So therefore, integrator pay more importance towards what is the cost of feed required to produce 1 kg of broiler, instead of looking at the cost of maize or soybean meal or the cost of the broiler feed. And therefore it is very important. And season, environment, climatic change, it is affecting the quality of the raw materials, it is affecting the availability of the raw material, it is affecting the yield of the raw material. And basically it's very important that machines like NIR should be used by suppliers also, because in poultry industry what happens, all the production is organized, but the traders who are supplying raw materials, they are still working with old practices, and the traders who are selling broilers, they are also working with the old practices. I think it's very important that ICR institutes, veterinary colleges, and industry, they should come together and they should organize training programs for the suppliers of raw materials, and also for the traders who are selling broilers in the market. So therefore it is very painful for poultry integrators to have big inventories. What happens with commercial feed manufacturer, sometimes they maintain the physical inventory of the raw material if the prices are going up. But in case of poultry integrators, there is a restriction and how much cash flow they have, so they cannot maintain inventory more than 15 days. All of you remember the rumors of February 2020 that reduced the chicken prices below 10 rupees. And during that quarter, February, March, and April, the chicken consumption almost went down to zero. So industry turnover loss was almost more than 20,000 crores. Means integrators didn't have money to produce feed and to give it to their contract farmers. Integrators had told farmers at that time that the birds are yours. We will not be able to supply you feed. You do whatever you want to do. So therefore, investment in precision lab equipment is very important. And as I said, online trading, hedging is very important. And what happens that there are national players in India, there are regional feed manufacturers in India, there are multinational companies in India, there are Indian players in India. So all these companies, they have different philosophies and they have different cash flow. So this is very important. And if you look at the poultry farmers who are buying commercial feed, there are high end, there are farmers who want high quality, there are farmers who want low quality. So therefore, what happens? I have seen many local feed manufacturers. Normally, they will tap farmers who want low quality feed. And if you look at the national players, they have big challenge to give quality as per the requirement of the customer, because the local player knows local customers very well. So they can modify. They are more agile in changing the quality of the feed as per the requirement of the market. And national players and multinational players, sometimes they cannot make those changes very swiftly, and that affects the profitability. Means if you are trying to maintain the consistency in the quality, that sometimes affects the profitability. So look at broiler price today. Means suddenly the broiler price came down from 90 rupees to 65 rupees. Look at the production cost of broiler today. It is 100 rupees. So when integrator is selling chicken at 65 rupees, he is losing 35 rupees per broiler. And during last 2 years, during COVID period, a lot of culling happened in parents also. So there is a imbalance between demand and supply. But good thing happened during last 2 years is that the layer population increased, because consumers understood the importance of eating more chicken and more eggs to develop the immunity to fight the COVID. And but what happens whenever there is a there is a problem in cash flow? Poultry feed manufacturers, they will delay the payments to feed additive companies. They will try to delay the payments to the raw material suppliers also. So I think this should not happen. Means what happens that if the feed additive company knows that XYZ customer pays money only after 120 days, then means it becomes a challenge for them how to supply to such companies. So I will request all feed manufacturers, because I am a representative of feed additive companies. So I will request all the feed manufacturers that please pay feed additive companies on time. It's very important. They are very important partner in your poultry feed manufacturing, because what happens, many feed additives are there which will reduce the cost of production of feed without affecting the performance of feed. You will get same FCR. Example, phytase is very good example. Previously everybody was using standard dose of 500 units, but now super dosing is used. People have gone up to 2000 units, and they are using matrix value up to 1500 units. Previously, poultry feed manufacturer was using matrix value only for the minerals, calcium, phosphorus, sodium. But now he is using matrix value for energy also, for protein also, for amino acids also. I'm very thankful to all companies which are selling synthetic amino acids like lysine, methionine, tryptophan, threonine, because by using these synthetic amino acids, poultry nutritionists can balance their diets. So that's very important. And one of the former chairman of CLEFMA, he always say that all poultry integrators should be compelled to process their chicken and to sell their chicken in market either through their own outlets or through other outlets. I'm mentoring many startups. There are many startups which came up with very good technologies. So I will request all the poultry feed manufacturers to use more technology in all aspects, whether it's a raw material purchase, whether it's a raw material storage, quality control, whether it's a finished feed quality, supply chain. So I think whatever we produce in India, we consume in India. So I think India should also focus on export of finished feed instead of exporting raw materials. Example, we are exporting maize to our neighboring countries. After this Russia and Ukraine war, suddenly the export of maize increased from India. So that increased the prices of maize in domestic market because speculation goes up. Same with soybean meal also. India is a regular exporter of soybean meal to Southeast Asian countries. So, so we should export value-added poultry feed instead of exporting raw materials. Dear friends, the major challenge the industry is facing today is lack of talent. We require around 5 lakh professionals in this industry. And because if you look at broiler sector, it is expected to grow at 8 to 10% in coming 10 years. If you look at layer sector, it is expected to grow at 4 to 5%. There are companies like Licious and Fresh to Home who are now selling branded processed chicken. So in coming next 10 years, there will be a lot of requirement of workforce in poultry processing, marketing of poultry products. So therefore, we don't need only veterinarians. We need agribusiness management graduates, and we need farm supervisors. We need feed mill supervisors. So I will request all the companies, only two companies in India, Saguna and Venkis. They have started a training institute where they give 6 month, 1 year degree and also BSc degree. I'm very thankful to Kerala Veterinary University, Tamil Nadu Veterinary University for starting a BSc course in poultry because we need trained manpower, and this trained manpower will be hired because when I was asking with Dr. B. Rao Institute of Poultry Management Technology, I was there 15 days back to interact with the students. Most of the students were from rural India. So if we train students from rural India in poultry farming, in poultry feed manufacturing, they will stay in rural India and they can earn respectable salary staying there. So we need good quality talent in poultry sector in coming years. We need fresh blood. I will normally I go to various veterinary colleges. I interact with the students. I encourage them to join private sector. I encourage them to do master degree in poultry or animal nutrition. So this is very important. So, and dear friends, feed safety is also very important. I will request government, all state government to give subsidy for converting all open sheds to environmentally controlled sheds. Because once we convert environmentally controlled shed, then there will be less menace about the fly control, smell of from the poultry farm, and it will also improve the performance of our broilers. Because during summer season and winter season, it is challenging to get the performance from our broilers. So disease challenge is a big challenge. I was very happy that 2 days back during seminar, our own minister who is a veterinary doctor, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Balian, he mentioned about the vaccine. Now, government should allow all vaccines which are required by our industry. I will also encourage all feed additive companies to sell premixes and to sell premixes with honest recommendation. Means they should blend important feed supplements and they can make blend in India and they can sell because import duties are very high. Example, Indian customs wants to earn more money, so they have put many feed supplements like B10 out of feed additive. So there is a higher import duty. There is a GST also on many raw materials and many feed supplements. So it is always better to import concentrated products from abroad and make in India, because our honorable Prime Minister is focusing on Atmanirbhar India. So we should make maximum feed supplements in India. That's very important. And the most important is breed performance. I will request all breed companies to focus on the performance of breed. The breed should perform as per the standards mentioned by them, and they should do lot of R&D. They should our poultry farmers, our poultry integrators, they're willing to cooperate, and this is very important. Uh, what unfortunate thing I'm looking is that the small poultry farmer is exiting from the business because he is not able to sustain. So I request veterinary colleges, I request ICR institutes, and I request poultry feed industry also that please pay attention towards small farmers. They are your future contract farmers. You should help small farmers to become medium farmers. You should help medium farmers to become large farmers. This is very important. On 5th August, I'm invited to speak at International Summit on bioethanol. So I'll be speaking about what is the potential for DDGS in animal feed. So in next 2 years, lot of DDGS, good quality DDGS from the grain-based ethanol production facility will be available for us. And government should pay attention toward import and export policy, because as more and more grains will be used for ethanol production, the price of maize will increase, the price of other grains will also increase. So dear friends, this is very important. Means we should all work together. The large fish should not eat small fish. Large fish should spare some feed for the small fish. There is a space for everyone, because all of us know that the per capita consumption of chicken is only 4 kg in India. Look at Pakistan, look at Bangladesh, it is double. I'm not talking about USA and European countries. Look at Mumbai. People are eating 30 kg broiler per year per person. They're eating 300 eggs per year per person. Whatever organized industry is producing in India, it is sold only in urban and peri-urban areas. What about customers in rural India? They also have aspiration to eat broiler. They also have aspiration to eat good quality eggs. So I think in next 10 years, our industry has a great scope to increase the volumes. We should all work together. Multinational companies, Indian companies. I can see that more and more companies will come into India, and we should welcome. So that's I will stop here. If there are any questions, I will like to answer those questions. And as it was Guru Purnima 3 days back, I will like to say naman to all gurus who are present here, and all gurus who guided me in my career. And dear friends, yesterday we got sad news about demise of father of Mr. B. Sondar Rajan, chairman of Saguna. So we also, I will also like to pay condolences to the his family on behalf of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So exhaustive extempore talk you have given. So this is हटके बोलते हैं ना, ऐसे ही है. So from the industry perspective, so many practical points you have mentioned, and you have given an in-depth analysis of the industry, poultry feed industry, current scenario, and then how we can sustain the growth of poultry production. So you mentioned about the technology oriented. The industry has to adopt the latest emerging technologies so as to make this industry still viable, despite all these the strong challenges what it is currently facing. And also the point about the HRD requirement, like the trained manpower. So this is always there from the demand is there always from the industry. They want trained people. Of course, veterinarians are there, but their role is at the higher level, so apex level. But at the ground level, for taking care of the management of the farm and then vaccination and such kind of things in the feed analysis and all that, we need a trained manpower. And as you mentioned, a lot of demand is there, a lot of requirement is there. And some universities, veterinary universities, like you mentioned, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they started addressing this issue. And I wish other universities, as well as maybe ICR also will consider this. Even our own RAC also last meeting, they strongly suggested this. So we have to fill this gap of trained manpower. So that is the need of the hour for the country. And then the small farmers, you mentioned, of course, now it is an organized industry, and the margins are dwindling, is coming down. So always it will be a challenge for the small farmer to survive. So that is the law of the market. But still, their presence is required. So the integration is to some extent is taking care of this requirement. But as you said, there has to be some hand-holding, some support from the government sector as well as from ICR and universities for these the small farmers, small and medium farmers. Of course, whatever the development, the rural poultry model, our institute, ICAR-DPR and CARI and many universities, they are propagating the country. That model is really helping a lot in promoting the semi-intensive and extensive kind of rearing. But the totally intensive rearing and small numbers, definitely there will be a lot many challenges. But definitely, as you said, their presence is also equally important. So now I request the participants to pose questions or react or give their or share their experiences.
There are a few questions in chat. Maybe
Yeah. So
you can just filter and ask me relevant questions.
Yeah. So I will come to the one. First question was from a student from Nagpur Veterinary College. So he's asking about, is third-party feed mill model profitable if someone wants to enter in poultry feed business during initial stage? Akash Vadal from Nagpur Veterinary College.
Yep. Actually, what happens, Akash, example, there is a feed mill called Rainbow in Pune, and they make feed at least for 5 integrators. So example, there is one feed mill in Rajpura. So they make feed for 3-4 companies. So there are many feed mill available all over India who are not selling their own brand. They will make feed for others. So yeah, so you have to pay them processing charges. You have to appoint your person. They will give you space in warehouse to keep your raw material and to keep your finished feed. And the feed manufacturing will be done by them. So staff will be theirs. So they will charge you the processing cost per ton of feed.
Well, I think that satisfies the question. And then a couple of questions by our friend Dr. Vijay Makijaji. So please share your assessment of current situation of coccidiosis in broilers. Any new solutions for prevention of coccidiosis in pipeline?
Actually, I'm not expert in this. Maybe Dr. M.R. Reddy is here. He is the best person to answer this question. And what happens that means, and all the representatives of the companies which are selling coccidicidal and coccidiostat medicines, they have latest information. So I think they are the best people to answer this question. Sorry, Vijay.
Dr. M.R. Reddy, is he there to comment on this?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, I'll just call him.
Yeah, you can go to next question.
Yeah. The other one is, they please share the full year.
No, I can see Dr. M.R. Reddy has
unmuted.
Sir.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you answer this question about coccidiosidals?
Yeah, please, can they repeat the question, sir? Raju, sir?
Please share your assessment of current situation of coccidiosis in broilers. Any new solutions for prevention of coccidiosis in pipeline?
Yeah, coccidiosis is still, it is prevalent and endemic disease, sir. And I think now vaccines also coming up. The only solution is we have to go for rotation of vaccines as well as coccidiostats. That is the only solution. I think vaccines already, I think 4 or 5 companies, they got license to market in India. And now they should make use of those vaccines. That's what I tell.
Dr. Vijay, are you there? You can directly ask the questions and you can interact.
Vijay is also selling similar products, so he is aware.
So, thank you, Dr. M.R. Reddy, sir, for sharing your insight. Thank you. Dr. Bhosale, this was answered. Thank you.
Okay, your next question is about the full year 2021 production statistics of broiler layer breeder feed in million metric tons, and your view of financial year 2022 projected estimates.
As I mentioned earlier, that in 2019 our broiler placement were around 35 crores. But it came down to around 32 crores this year, and the feed production will be around 25 million metric ton. So around 12.5 million metric ton will be broiler feed, and another 12.5 million metric ton will be layer feed. And what happens that during July, August, September and October, these 4 months broiler placement will go down, because due to festive seasons, the broiler consumption goes down. So normally what happens from the November till month of June, the broiler consumption is more as compared to these 4 months in festive season. So accordingly, integrators they will make change. The good thing is that due to COVID, the consumption of eggs have gone up. So layer in the egg production has increased almost by 18% during last 2 years. So that's a good thing, and so that's helping, because egg is the cheapest source of full nutrition one can get. So that's a good thing, and I'm happy that poor people and lower middle class people who cannot afford to eat chicken, they can always go and eat anda curry, anda bhurji, boiled egg, because only in urban cities people are eating eggs in breakfast. If you'll see, eggs are still considered as a luxury in rural area. Eggs are normally eaten either outside home, because most of the houses are vegetarian, or eggs are eaten at home as a luxury, anda curry, anda bhurji, etc.
Yeah, the other question from Dr. Makija is, please share your views on evolution of feed conversion efficiency in last few decades, and what are drivers of the changes in FCR?
Actually, what happens 20 years back, the FCR was around 2, and now it has came down to 1.6 in commercial poultry integration operation, which is very commendable. Previously, at 40 days of age, we were selling around 1.5 kg broiler, and now we are making 2.5 kg broiler at 40 days of age. So it's really commendable.
Yeah, there is one more question from Praveen Kumar. Please give details about NCDX.
Just Google it. Lot of information is available about NCDX, how it works, how you can do the hedging. Lot of information is available. So please go through it. And NCDX, lot of online information is available. Because today I tried to skip all that information which is available on Google. I only talked about those things which I experienced during last 25 years.
Okay, so the next question is about, is there any national policy in vogue to control the price of raw materials?
National policy?
To control the price of raw materials?
No, actually what happens, demand and supply. Price of raw material will depend on demand and supply. Our government has announced minimum support price for 24 commodities. But again, the minimum support price is not mandatory. And government only buy few things like paddy and wheat from the farmers, and keep it in their Food Corporation of India. Otherwise, many times, if demand is not there, if production is more, then farmer has to sell below MSP also.
Okay. The other one is about the role of Indian poultry industry for enhancing grain production, which is required for poultry feed. Maybe indirectly, how the industry, poultry industry, should support the agrarian sector, that is the production of grains that perhaps?
Actually, means I think everybody has acknowledged, whether it's a government policy maker, whether it's a scientist, whether it's a farmer, everybody has acknowledged that why maize and soybean production has grown in India. It is mainly due to poultry feed production. As poultry industry grew in India, the maize and soybean meal requirement went up. So therefore, maize and soybean production in India went up. And if you'll see, good thing is that who are the farmers who is growing maize and soybean? They are all small farmers. It's all non-irrigated land. It is all land like Madhya Pradesh and Vidarbha where rains are scanty. Farmers from Bihar, farmers from North Karnataka, farmers from Rajasthan. So if you'll see, poultry industry is directly helping maize and soybean growing farmers. And that's it. Means we cannot we cannot fix the price while buying from farmers. Whatever is the market price is there, we'll buy. Good thing is that now I will encourage that farmer producer company should be formed by maize growing farmers and soybean growing farmers, so they can collectively sell their grains. They can store their grains when the prices are low, and they can sell, example say 25% immediately after harvest. They can sell remaining 75% in remaining 9 months.
That's good. So another Dr. Praveen Kumar, MVS student from Cary. So this is an interesting question. I would like to know current opportunities of poultry science students in private sector.
Lot of opportunity. Sky is not the limit. I always tell poultry science students that please, once you complete your degree, send us your resume. We will help you to get job. And wherever you join, at least work for 3 years, learn the work, because salary makes you happy only on first day. Your work will make you happy for rest 29 days. So during first 3 to 5 years, wherever you join, you should learn the work, because after 5 years of experience, nobody will teach you.
Good. So this is from my colleague, Dr. P.K. Nayak. How the present poultry feed industry look forward for the duck production in the country? Duck.
That's the thing. Actually, what happens when I look at China, the commercial duck production, I always envy them. Why cannot we identify areas, districts in India where duck farming can be done, and then we can supply all over India? I think ICAR institutes, veterinary colleges, state government should take lead, because poultry indicators will not start duck farming immediately because they have their own constraints. So industry will come in later phase. But I think initially government and our scientific community, I think we should identify districts where duck farming should be promoted, and then we should have processing facility. And nowadays supply chain is so good that duck eggs from Odisha can go to any part of India within 3 to 5 days. And Northeast is also a good place to produce ducks. So East India and Northeast, these are very good areas. Example, Tamil Nadu also has good, Kerala also has a good scope for producing duck eggs and duck meat. It's a delicacy. You will get higher price for duck eggs and duck meat, but it should be available in branded form. It should be available in process form. Again, I will encourage to form farmer producer company of duck farmers.
Yeah, the other one is from Mr. Prasad. Is alternative proteins a solution to bridge demand supply gap?
Maize and soybean meal. Now insect protein is tried all over world. I'm very sad to see that nothing is happening in India. I think I encourage all scientists, all industry, feed industry to do more research on insect protein. Insect protein will be a very good alternative. DDGS, as I mentioned, will be a very good alternative, because now I am advisor to Indian Oil, I am advisor to Uttar Pradesh Distiller Association, All India Distiller Association. So a lot of DDGS will be produced, and we will ensure that the quality will be good. So many raw materials are coming up. So collection of raw materials, availability of raw material throughout the year is very important. Unfortunately, what happens whenever the maize prices goes up and soybean meal prices goes up, prices of all other raw materials which can substitute maize and soybean will also go up, which should not happen. Prices should change as per the demand and supply.
Yeah, just I want to add one little information here, Dr. Bhosale ji. Like we are right now currently working on this insect meal for its use in broiler diet. And yeah, it is in the nascent stage, the production. But good thing is like large feed manufacturers like Pomerla Feeds and also Mahiko is also trying to establish this commercial scale production of the insect meal. Right
Actually,
now,
I'm mentoring 3 startup companies which are working on insect protein. The problem is that the price of the insect protein is very high. Insect oil can be used in poultry feed. The
yeah,
price is workable,
yeah.
but
Right
not
now,
insect
much of
protein.
it, yeah, much of it is going for ornamental
Aqua,
fish. Yeah,
pet food.
yeah, pet food and ornamental fish mostly. Even aquaculture, commercial aquaculture, still it will be expensive there also. But I think we hope large scale production will bring down the prices. Then there is one question by Dr. G.V. Gotekar. How did you see the importance of housing system as compared to feed additives?
No, you cannot compare apple with oranges. Housing system is also very important and feed additives are also very important. So no, as I mentioned that my dream is that all open farm should be converted to environment control sheds in next 10 years. That will benefit poultry industry, that will benefit poultry farmer, that will benefit the neighboring community around poultry farms.
Yeah, so series of questions that shows like now how much involvement was there from the audience. So the next question is about what happens to the eggs and chicks while chicks placements goes down if the breeder placement more or less don't change much.
Actually, as all of you know that industry will follow hatching holiday. Is they will not hatch the breeder eggs. They will keep those eggs in cold storage to use later. So basically, means there is a demand from contract farmers that what should be the ratio of the male chicks and female chicks in commercial broiler farming. So all these issues are there, and means as I said, on one hand our per capita consumption is less. On other hand, we have to follow hatch holidays and other measures to keep our production in control in few months. This is all due to lack of processing, because if we can have poultry processing facilities, I will request government, just like textile park, they should have poultry processing park, because no company is interested to invest money in advance, because capital investment is very huge in poultry processing. So I will request that government should install big plant at ICAR-DPR, one plant at ICAR-CRI, one plant at Bhuneshwar, plants at all CPDOs, plant at all veterinary colleges. So government should install poultry processing plants. They should have park where farmer can take their birds, process it, and there should be facilities available to keep the frozen chicken when the demand is low. And when the demand is high, at that time, this frozen chicken can be sold at least to army, at least to hotels and other institutional buyers. And we can export also, because export will happen only of frozen chicken.
Yeah, another supplementary question to this from Mr. Abhiya Dharmapadanad. Don't you think the hatching egg quality deteriorates if kept in cold storage?
I fully agree, but there is no other alternative. If you are taking hatch holiday, you have only two choices: either to keep that egg and use it later, or just destroy it. And many times breeders they have to cull parent birds, they have to destroy eggs when they want to reduce the production.
Yeah, the other one is why feed millers and farmers still not using alternative feed ingredients? what extra things need to do so they get more confidence and use them in feed and reduce feed cost?
As I said, a lot of work needs to be done on the backward integration about the sourcing of alternative raw materials sources. Example, if you look at maize, if you look at soybean meal, now the supply chain is streamlined. So therefore, supply chain for all alternative raw material should be streamlined. I should get raw material at I should get raw material. I should also get the laboratory report about the quality of that raw material, because most of the alternative raw materials, they will have anti-nutritional factors. So I want to be sure that some processing has happened on this raw material. And most of the time what happens, alternative raw material can be used in cattle feed, because cattle can digest alternative raw material in a better way. But if you try to use more alternative raw material in case of layer birds or broiler birds, then the FCR will go down, the egg production will go down.
Fine. The last question in the chat box is current scenario of poultry production in North India. There is a lot of gap.
No, actually what happens, I always tell people that per capita consumption figure is misnomer, because many people are vegetarian in India. Second thing, unlike foreigners, we don't eat chicken and eggs every day. We don't eat chicken and eggs in breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. So I think only few people are eating more chicken, especially in urban area and peri-urban area. And now people who are vegetarian and they want to try, they will try eggs, they will try chicken. So in coming next years, I think chicken consumption will go up. And whatever we are producing today, we are able to sell today in local market. Even when the bird flu rumors came, or when the COVID rumor came in February 2020, whatever we produced, it was sold at 10 rupees or 20 rupees. So there was a class who was buying that chicken and eating it. Means I have seen in the chicken shops, when I go to buy eggs, I can see that the construction laborer will come and he will give 10 rupees, he will give 25 rupees, 50 rupees to the shop owner, and he will buy the chicken and he will go to home. So in 50 rupees chicken, he will make the meal for 4 to 5 people. So I think chicken and eggs are the cheapest source of protein. And as human nutrition says that whatever is our weight, we should eat that much gram of protein. Example, my weight is 60 kg. So I should eat 60 gram protein every day. So animal protein is the best way to fulfill our protein requirement.
Good. There is a comment from Mr. Prasad from S Bank. Mr. Prasad, directly you can just share that opinion.
Sir, just to, I mean, inform, processors that if they are setting up any greenfield, poultry processing, then, recently MOFP has opened a window up to 10th August for online submissions. So for poultry processing, there is a 5 crore, or even for dairy and, other aqua, a 5 crore grant, up to 5 crore grant is possible under a scheme called Creation Expansion, CEFPPC. So interested process can, submit detailed project report, a bank appraisal note, and various other documentation for application under this scheme. There is also one more scheme called Cold Chain Scheme, ICC, which gives a 10 crore grant, but that is a bit more advanced scheme where, cold processing, RTC, RTE, poultry processing projects, frozen, chicken, poultry products can be, DPRs can be submitted to get a 10 crore grant scheme. I mean, there is one more scheme under AHIDF, Animal Husbandry, under the Animal Husbandry Department, where, poultry vaccine manufacturers or, hatcheries and all, hatchery, but, very sophisticated hatcheries with temperature control. Those projects can be submitted to AHIDF. That gives interest subvention on the term loan. So these are the two different kind of ministries which are giving support to the processors. And in the MOFPI Sampada, there are some conditions which guidelines clearly mention. So term loan up to 20% of the project cost has to be taken. So those guidelines can be kind of submitted. Maybe we can send the links and all to you, and you can forward it to interested people who are setting up greenfield projects. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. All along, the financing has been actually looked at only supporting the production of eggs and meat. But now you are looking at the important thing, that is now need to grow, because to take the industry forward, we need to enhance the processing of meat and also branding of eggs, and say clean chick production also. You're telling like the modern facility and all that. So you're having schemes to support financially, extending loans and all that. I think that's a great initiative, and definitely is going to help the poultry sector, I think, in the years to come. Thank you so much. And any more comments or supplements or questions from the audience? Dr. S.V. Ramarao garu. Anybody?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I'm a student from CARI. It is a very good session that we got to know about the practical what is happening in the industry right now. As we are students, we don't know about it. Thank you so much for arranging it.
I think there are no more questions. So I request our beloved director, Dr. R.N. Chatterjee Saab, to offer his comments.
Thank you, Dr. Dinesh Bhosale ji. And this institute is having long association with Dr. Dinesh Bhosale ji. And he was CLAPMA chairman, secretary, and many other posts, as has been mentioned initially by Dr. Raju. And it was a very good presentation, particularly on poultry nutrition aspect. What was the past and what is the present and what should be the future, and different aspects of poultry sector in the country, including the diversified poultry species like ducks, etc., etc. And lots of questions were there. So it was a very good session and excellent presentation. I should say powerful speech, not the presentation, by Dr. Dinesh Bhosale. And thank you so much for giving such a beautiful speech as a part of our Amrut Mahotsav, what is going on in the government sector. Now I want to say a few things what the public sector is doing. As you know that the ICAR institutes and the universities, particularly two ICAR institutes and our institute in particular, and we have done a lot of research work, particularly our nutrition group on alternative feed ingredients, then stress management, climatic resilient poultry production, how it can be done, then different aspect of maybe molecular biology, then variety development, as you have rightly pointed out earlier in your presentation, that it is the variety that has been developed by both public and private sector that has given a major impact for evolution of the poultry from a backyard to a organized poultry sector, which is contributing at present around 1.5 to 1.6 lakh crore, including the broiler sector, layer sector, backyard sector, as well as the feed industry associated with the poultry. So we are also having this public sector, we are having the ASRP centers, All India Coordinated Research Project Centers, which were working on the variety development for intensive, and at present we are doing on the location specific variety development, as well as we have developed certain varieties for layers which are able to produce 315 to 320 eggs per year, and some location specific variety for different locations which will be helpful for the backyard poultry farmers. As you know that the poultry in the last 7 years the poultry population has been increased by maybe 7 or 8% total, but the industrial sector that has the population has grown by 5%, where the backyard sector the poultry population has been increased by 45.8%, and the major contribution is from our institute as well as some other ICAR institute carry and so on and so forth. And at present we are supplying around 40 to 45 lakhs of germplasm throughout the country, and there are certain varieties like Bonaraja, Gramapriya, Srinidhi and so on and so forth, which we are supplying across the country in each and every state, and many farmers are, lakhs of farmers are getting benefited every year. And this backyard sector we are having major impact from our institute. And as you have rightly pointed about the HRD aspect, the HRD aspect is being covered by both public and private sector. In the private sector there are two institutes basically exclusively for the say poultry training, poultry farmers training. One is at Pune, another is at Coimbatore by different companies, and one college is there in CPPM Hosur, that is under the Tanuvas, and another is in Palakkad by Kerala Veterinary and Animal Science University. So they are going for the HRD, and all these students, day before yesterday I was in Hosur in that particular college, and I came to know that the industry is lacking now at present the huge manpower, poultry manpower in the poultry sector. So whatever they are producing, the students or the graduates, they are getting immediately the service in the poultry private sector. So definitely HRD that will continue, and our institute is working on HRD aspect, maybe for the farmers training, maybe for the veterinarians training, maybe for the senior officials, government officials training. And you have also organized one international training program where 8 different countries of Asian and African origin they have participated in 2018, and we are having collaboration with Manage, that is another institute of the Government of Agriculture Ministry of Government of India Ministry of Agriculture. So in collaboration with Manage in different levels we are doing this, maybe agri entrepreneurs or maybe farmers and so on and so forth. So HRD aspect also we are doing a lot, but definitely there is a need to do a lot on HRD aspect. And we are also doing the public-private partnership model, different research projects, maybe in nutrition as well as in health aspect. And we have done some research work with the private industry in the animal health sector, that is in infectious bronchitis, that is in CRD, chronic respiratory disease, that is that Mycoplasma calcisepticum, that was recognized by Government of India, but not the Mycoplasma synovium. So this was the research product from our institute, that Mycoplasma synovium, that has also been recognized, and now the bivalent vaccine or the polyvalent vaccine for CRD that is available in the market in India. Similarly, IB nephropathogenic strain that is also available in our country, that is also the research product of our institute. So in that way we are also doing alternative feed ingredients, as Dr. Raju has to mention about the insect meal. We have started, then DDGS also a few years back. Dr. Raju himself, he was the PI of that project. He has done how the DDGS that can be introduced in the poultry feed. But as you have mentioned very rightly, that maize up to 5% and soybean up to 5% alternative feed ingredients can be added. But to our experience, the alternative feed ingredients that can be added even more. Though we say that maize is the only alternative of maize and soybean meal is the only alternative of soybean. So looking into that fact, whatever research we have done in the last 2 or 3 decades on the alternative feed ingredients, we have published 2 books. One is in general for the whole country, and many farmers they are benefited, and we have supplied that book to different secretaries of Government of India, different ministry, and recently we have published another book which was of great demand, that is the regional specific nutrition or the feed formula, how it can be done. Where till cake is available, we can incorporate till cake. Where mustard cake is available, we can incorporate mustard cake, and up to how much percentage. So in that way, that book is also in demand, and that is also doing a good job for the farmers community. And besides that, climate resilient agriculture. Climate resilient agriculture we are doing for the last maybe 7-8 years under one ICAR network program. And we have developed one product that is known as Oxycure. Dr. Ramarao, he was the PI, and Dr. Raju, he was also a co-PI in that project. And we have developed one product that is named as Oxycure, for which we have done the third-party evaluation also, and that will be commercialized maybe shortly. That is in the process. And besides that, many advanced research is going on in the public sector. In our institute, we are doing work on marker-assisted selection. We are doing work on gene silencing. We are doing work on genome editing. We are doing work on, we have developed certain chicken which can produce low cholesterol egg. We have developed certain chicken which can be used as bioreactor. Like as you have mentioned during your presentation, that GM crop, maize or soybean, that should come, and all the many scientists they are in favor of that, and maybe many other other than scientists they are also in favor of the GM crops to be introduced in our country, and maybe in near future that will be introduced. That is the main. We cannot feed say 1.6 billion people. What is going to happen in 2050, and we are going to surpass China by 2023, another 1 year. So we are already 1.4 billion people in our country. So all these things are going on. So as you know, that GM crops that is also that should be introduced in our country. That is the opinion from the scientific community also. But that should be legalized. So that is not our job. Then the thing is that besides GM crop, the transgenic chicken which we have developed 8 years or 9 years back, now that transgenic chicken we have developed for as therapeutics. The bioreactors we have developed, that is the transgenic chicken as therapeutics, which is producing human alpha interferon, and 1 dose of human alpha interferon that is costing around 1,500 rupees. So 1 egg from that particular chicken, which is a bioreactor, that can produce 4 doses of human alpha interferon, which is being used as an antiviral therapy, which is used as an anti-cancerous therapy. So these are also coming. Then genome editing also, there is no ban on genome edited product, and recently there was one circular from the Government of India also, and we have edited 2 genes. One is prolactin, another is inhibin, which are negative regulator of egg production. And in our 2 native chicken, Karaknath and Nicobari, we have seen that 1.5 times egg production that has happened because of the genome editing of these 2 genes. So advanced research also we are doing, and there is another thing, that is smart poultry farming. And smart poultry farming that can be done in many ways. And in agriculture, artificial intelligence, robotics, IoT, they are being used very commonly. And drone technology, that is being used very commonly in many states of our country, in many other countries also. Similarly, we have also started one project on that particular line, that is on artificial intelligence as well as Internet of Things, and which will maybe we have also included the industry sector also. Some partner is there, and that is with the Ministry of Information and Technology. So in that way, the public sector or the government sector, they are also doing research in advanced areas of science, and that will be helpful in future, for the poultry sector. So once again, not taking much time, I convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to Dr. Dinesh Bhosale for a great speech, great presentation, and we'll see in the near future the participation from the industry. And we are doing, our institute, we are doing the scientist industry meet as well as scientist farmer meets very regularly. And we have one chapter, that is AP chapter of IPSA, Indian Poultry Science Association, through which we are doing maybe twice or thrice at least every year. And recently we have done one national seminar from the AP chapter of IPSA. So in that way also the public sector, they are also coming forward. And 10 years back, the government sector, they did not give much emphasis on the poultry sector, but slowly many states are coming forward, many state governments are coming forward. And after the new ministry, DADF, the poultry sector is getting benefited. As you have mentioned that 6 lakh tons of soybean has been incorporated, which has benefited many farmers by reducing the cost of soybean, so which is the main ingredient, feed ingredient for poultry industry. So in that way, the government sector is also coming forward. And as has been mentioned by Dr. Prasad, that MOFPI, they are also funding for infrastructure development and all that. And there are 2 ministries, Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Fisheries, Dairy and Animal Husbandry. They are helping or they are giving fund to the different ICAR institutes as well as universities in different aspects. So in that way, public sector is also doing a great job for the poultry sector. And definitely the feed ingredients, as you have suggested, as you have pointed out, several aspects of feed ingredients or the nutrition aspect of the poultry industry, that should be taken into consideration by both the public sector as well as private sector, and how the small farmers, they can be made to medium farmers, as you have mentioned, and the medium farmers, that they can be made to large farmers. So with that, once again, I thank you so much, both Dr. Dinesh Bhosale and Dr. Raju Garu, who has organized this program. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable concluding remarks. I think they are very much useful to the audience here, because what the ICAR-DPR is doing and what the government sector, what are the things happening, I think that will benefit the participants. Then coming to the last part of this one, I profusely thank my friend Dr. Dinesh Bhosale. It's a weekend, it's a personal time. You have taken out a lot of this valuable time from your personal space, and then you have delivered this wonderful lecture. And the maximum attendance today we had in recent times, and also the questions, the number of questions that are posed, that shows like your message has gone so deeply into the audience today. Thank you so